In this video, I'm going to go over how I write ads for info offers. So this is going to be a full breakdown of the copywriting process, specifically as it pertains to meta ads. We broke it down into some sections, and first is the mindset and the foundation. So when you go in and write copy, it's not in this vacuum where if you write good copy, you get good results, and if you write bad copy, you get bad results. You cannot out-copy a dead market. For example, if I am in Antarctica and I'm trying to sell water, the odds are very low, and I need to be very, very persuasive to sell that. Whereas if I'm in the desert and I find somebody who hasn't eaten in 3 days or hasn't drank anything, rather, in 3 days, it's way easier to go and sell them water because they are so thirsty. I don't have to do much persuading. It's just having a good product that fits what they need at that time, and then we're good. There's no persuasion, there's no marketing, there's no copywriting there. It's just a good market. It's a market that is in demand. Next is the offer. So how good is the offer? Does the value actually outweigh the price by a lot? And the more that the value outweighs the price, the less the copy matters. This is when you're running cold traffic info, this is something that we felt a lot, where it's like ads can be good, but if the ads are selling a bad offer on cold traffic info, it will absolutely not work. You need an offer that is built for cold traffic when you're running cold traffic info. That means you need a guarantee. It needs to be time-based. It needs to be specific. It needs to be easy. It needs to be quick time to first result. Like, there's a lot of things that play into this offer as it pertains to cold traffic info specifically. But if you don't have a good offer for cold traffic, your copy doesn't matter because you cannot out-copy a broken offer. Copy is just accelerating what is already there. Next thing, this is from Stephen Georgi, and his motto, I guess you could call it, is that copy thinking is better than copywriting. So when you're using Claude to write your copy, you make the decisions, and the writing of the ads is the easy part. The writing is very much so formulaic in the sense you can just pull structures from other winning ads, and we'll go over how to do that later in the video. But what you need to do is make the decision. So like, is this output from Claude good or bad? Or coming up with concepts and hooks is something that you do a little more creatively. So it's like if you come up with a good concept and someone else comes up with a bad concept, the ad structure is probably going to be similar because Claude is really good at writing copy. It's just who chooses a better concept, and also same thing with the hook, who writes a better hook, and that is going to determine the results of your ads. Next, research is the writing. You need to spend far more time doing research than writing the ad. There's a principle from Claude Hopkins who wrote Scientific Advertising, and it's called idiosyncratic marketing, which basically means that our lives are like, to sum it up, I haven't met enough people in my life. I probably met a few thousand people in my life. That is just not enough to formulate a perspective that someone has when they're watching your video, because you haven't met enough people or had enough experiences to even know what someone is going to think when they watch your ad. So you're actually just going based off of this tiny sample size of the people that you have spoken to or you know in your life, rather than the actual wide addressable markets perspective. So you need to do research into your customer, and you can't let your personal emotions or thoughts or preconceptions leak into this research when you're going and writing. Before you start writing, you should answer these 4 questions. Typically, I'll do a few more than this, but these are the main 4. So who is your customer or your ideal customer, and what do they do all day? So say you're running a cold traffic info offer that is a TikTok shop offer. What is your ideal customer? Probably someone a little bit older. TikTok shop's a very low barrier to entry business model, as opposed to something like SMMA where you have to do outreach. TikTok shops just like fire up an account and you're good. So it can be someone older, it can be someone a little bit less motivated, and they're probably working a job. They're probably working all day. What keeps them up at night? It's probably, like most people for this, would be not being able to pay their bills. That is what keeps most people up at night, and just stress from that, not wanting to go to their job the next day. Again, you can't just take what I'm saying in this video. Like, I'm just saying these as examples. So going and taking what I say and applying that to your deep research would be the perfect example of idiosyncratic marketing. So don't do that. You should run these in a deep research report, which we'll go into. But what have they tried before that failed? Chances are a lot of cold traffic leads are buyers. Buyers are buyers are buyers. So if someone's going to buy from you, they probably have bought from someone else before. So they've probably tried other info offers. What do they secretly want? One level past money. This is a great question because if you can push it one level past money, it's just a way to stand out in the dream outcomes as opposed to like everyone else who's just saying, want to make money and quit your job. Now, the answers are going to live on deep research. I use Gemini. All of these are pretty solid at deep research. I don't like Claude for deep research. I use Claude for the copy, not for the research. But I like Gemini the best. Use it most of the time. On Gemini, I'll scrape Reddit and reviews. And the best spot to find these is your sales call transcripts from people that you've closed into your offer already. Because the closer you can get to the actual perspective of the customer or the prospective customer, the better, which the closest you can get is the sales call or even the coaching calls. Like if you're doing mindset coaching within your program, you can scrape the mindset coaching calls or even the group calls if you're talking through mindset stuff. And then you can develop avatar profiles from those call transcripts. And then you can use that to go in and write your ads. But the closer you can get to your customer's actual perspectives, the better. And the closest you can get is actually talking to your customers. Now, there is a pretty standard winning ad structure or just winning copy structure that most ads will use of some sort. Now, it would be doing you a disservice to just say that every winning ad uses this structure because that's absolutely not true. But in this structure, it's seen very, very commonly across ads, especially in info. I would call it like the standard structure where you go hook, problem, solution, proof, and CTA. Now, the hook is just first sentence. It has two jobs. First is qualification. So a hook is a filter. A lot of people will look at your hook rate, which is people who watch past 3 seconds of your video, and say you have a 100% hook rate. The hook's not qualifying anyone. Say you have a 20% hook rate, that would be considered bad. But if that 20% is only your ideal customers that you get watching past the hook, that's actually a really good thing. So you want to filter out for your ideal customer in the hook. Now, this can be done explicitly. It can also be done implicitly. For example, if you were going explicit, you could say if you work a corporate job, or even more, like if you are a doctor or a lawyer making over $150K a year and you want to deploy $10,000 into an online business where you can stop making money for your time, whatever, that would be an explicit hook. You can also go implicitly where you just use language that is meant to attract your ideal customer and repel other people. So if I want to attract software engineers or like these AI geek type persona to my offer, I might talk about RAG pipelines, vector databases, N8N, Claude Code, things like that. And if I say like, I know you built that RAG pipeline in the vector database the other day, and then you saw these things, whatever. Someone who doesn't know what that is not going to watch past the video. So that's an implicit filter where it's like you're not directly calling it out, but you are indirectly getting the right people to watch. Next thing is curiosity. So you want to open a loop that makes them curious and that they can only close by watching the rest of the ad. Common hook types that you'll see: dream outcome. Say if you're selling a course doing 30K a month and you want to hit 100K without building another funnel, watch this. You can see how that qualifies here. And then dream outcome, hit 100K. These are just example hooks again. But you can also go pain-based. If you're running ads, so there's a filter, and your cost per sale doubled in the last 90 days, this is why. You can use specific cost per sales if you want to filter even more. And then there's proof hooks, which proof is a really good type of curiosity, because if I were to say, watch how this info offer went from 30 to 100K a month with one campaign, or say for us, it'd be like how we scaled this info offer from 0 to 1.3 million in 29 days. Like, you are curious at that if you're an info offer, for sure, without me like making you curious intentionally. Just by flashing a result, of someone similar to you, it sells the dream outcome. It somewhat sells the pain because you're not where they are, so you're not where you want to be. And the proof is also just credibility, so it makes more sense, or like gets them to trust you more. And then you can do a qualifier, which this is one we talked about where there's a very explicit hook. Now, after the hook, you go into the reason. So like the problem. I like a unique problem. So instead of just say it was for like a service business, instead of saying you need leads, something better would be you don't have a lead problem. Cold traffic has seen your promise 40 times this week, but nobody believes it. So you have a credibility problem or something. So it's like basically calling out what the rest of the market does as wrong, or what the other competitors are telling them to do. Say that that's wrong, and then say your unique twist on it. Because if you just say the same problem as your competitors, they're just going to be, oh, just another one of those ads, and scroll past it. So it's like you talk about the problem. So you tell them what their problem is, but then why you know their problem better than everyone else is basically the goal of this. And then is a perfect solution. So this problem should set you up with a just alley-oop perfect lob to just like dunk it with the perfect solution, where this is the exact fix for that real reason that you just named. So you need to put a name on it, give it a one-of-one offer. Don't go and commoditize your own offer. So by commoditizing an offer, I mean just making it the same as everything else. For example, like a jar of peanut butter. If I'm going to the store, right, and I'm looking at a shelf with a bunch of jars of peanut butter on it and picking what brand to go and get, I'm just going to compare them based on price, unless there's some clear standout advantage, or maybe one doesn't have seed oils or whatever. But other than that, that is a very commoditized product. It's the same everywhere. So the lowest price will win. However, if you have a one-of-one offer that no one's offering, you cannot be compared on price. So you can charge as much as you want. After the perfect solution, you want to go into some proof. So if you're info, I would just like rattling off testimonials. So it's like, this student did this in this amount of time. This student did this in this amount of time. You do need to include some disclaimers here. So you need to include a sentence that is like, these results are not typical. I'm not promising that you will get these results, but this is just to show you a little bit of what could happen if you actually put in the work and dedicate your whatever time and effort to this. You need to include that, or your CPMs are just going to be cooked. Your ads are going to get rejected. Your ad account could get disabled. Like, you need to make sure you're including the disclaimers there. And then it's going to be the CTA. So with the CTA, the biggest thing is just do not leave any room for confusion. You do not say like, click the link and I'll see you inside. Like, you'd say, click the link around this video. On the next page, you're going to see a quick presentation, and then you can book a call with my team to see if this is a fit for you. To be very specific, because any decision fatigue, anytime someone has to make a decision, naturally, just human nature, human psychology, people don't like making decisions. So if you can just tell them exactly what to do, it makes it a lot lower friction for them to go and do it. Okay, so this is an example with the sections. I'll toss this doc in the description. I'm not going to go through this right now. This is just an example ad. This is not an ad that I've run or anything, but it's just to show the different sections. Now, when you're actually going and writing the ads, do not try to reinvent the wheel. You can just take the wheel that somebody else already made and then make it better and make it apply to your offer. But you do not need to go and reinvent the wheel. That is a huge mistake that people make. They spend hours writing a one ad because they don't leverage other people's data. That is another huge thing, is that somebody already tested the ad that is going to be a winner for you. So if I go to Ads Library and I find offers or even adjacent niches like e-com or health, and I pulled those ads and those ad structures and the winning ones. I also use a tool called AdSpy, which lets you sort by likes. So it's a little bit better to tell what a winner is. And you're pulling that winner that someone already tested and likely tested a bunch of losers to identify that that is a winner. So now you just don't have to test as much. So it's like you can just take other people's winners and your floor, like where you're starting from, is way better because you're using the winning structures and you're leveraging the winning structures from other people. So I'll go to AdSpy or Ads Library. I'll download the winning ads. I'll transcribe them using TurboScribe, and then I'll upload the transcripts to Claude, and I'll ask it to derive winning structures that are common across the ads. So even this, like I did not make up this structure. I downloaded a bunch of ads. I looked at the winning ads across niches, along with just like copywriting mentors that have taught me that. And that is how I go and derive winning structures. So you just upload, say, 10 to 20 transcripts to Claude. Say, hey, Claude, can you make me ad structures and formats and templates essentially based on all of these winning ads? Try to fit as many ads into one structure as possible, but there might be a couple different ones. And you will notice that a lot of ads do use the same structure. And again, be creative with the concept and the hook. The concept of the ad and the hook of the ad, you can be creative, but don't overthink the body. Just use structures from winning ads. Winning ads that all have pretty similar structures. Don't overthink the body, just write it. You should be able to pump out multiple bodies in an hour. It is not something where it takes a full day to write an ad body. Now, say you have 10 concepts, 3 different ad structures, then it's 30 ads, literally just with Claude based on the winning structures. I do personally like to do some concepts without using AI though. So I'll take a notebook, handwrite out some concepts, and then I will take those concepts into Claude and then I'll apply it to the winning ad structures. Another thing I do is just ask Claude to come up with like 10 or 20 concepts and then pick my favorite, but I never just let Claude make the entire ad from start to finish, meaning make the concept, make the hook, and make the entire ad. With the body, I rely on AI very, very heavily. The other parts of the ad are a little bit different. So then after it's done, so you come up with a concept, you apply it to a winning structure, and then your ad is done. And now after that, I just read it out loud once. So I'll read it out loud, not like in my head at all, like literally speaking the words out loud. And I'll just rewrite the parts that sound like AI. One pass, maybe 2, and then you're good. You do not need to overthink it. That is where you're at. You should go test that. And then you can do it again, and then you can test again. And you can just pump out hundreds of these ads in a day because you are relying on AI, but not in a way that it's just like, hey, Claude, write me an ad. It's just leveraging other people's data and other people's structures for their ads to then go in and apply that to yours. So that is an overview of copywriting and how I write ads for info offers. Like, comment, subscribe. This doc is in the description if you want to access it.